So we're going to look at trying to move through all our planes of movement, which we kind of know we've got to do anyway, but we want to look at those fascial lines of movement. So our fascial lines run up and down, so horizontally, vertically, diagonally, we've got the front and the back and the side. So that's a lot of movement that we've got to do to get the fascia working. So let's just start first of all just with a lovely big shoulder roll. And round, just two more. So we're talking about myofascia, which is there because we've got different types of fascia. We've got fascia that's all over our internal organs, which is basically just the connective tissue. Then we're going to just shrug the shoulders. As you lower the shoulders down, like you're sliding your shoulder blades down your spine, we're going to look to the right, back to center with the head as we lift, and then feel that nice little neck stretch as we lower the shoulders. So lifting up, just combining a little bit of movement of the shoulders with some movement of the head. So we're looking at the myofascia today, which is the connective tissue that covers all our muscles. Also, your tendons and ligaments are also made of connective tissue. Now keep the head forward as we bring those arms down. And I just want you to give your wrists a big circle round. So we'll be doing a little bit on our arms, not too much today. Then go the other way, round and round. Good. Then I want you to bend your wrists. We did a little bit of this in yoga Pilates actually yesterday. We're going to flex those wrists. So imagine that you're on the floor like this and you've got your palms pressing down. And imagine someone's got your fingers. So we're trying not to dome. I want you to pull your fingers back. And then I want you to take a nice deep breath in as we circle up and round and back. So full circle. Thinking range of movement like we did in our last sessions last week when we were looking at mobility. Now, because the hands are flexed back, you might feel, now this can be a little bit of a nerve stretch, so if anything feels fizzy, pins and needles, maybe a little bit too kind of warm, you get a lot of big sort of kind of rush of heat coming down, ease off that flexion or ease off the circle. What I want you to feel is as you pull the fingers back, can you feel this particularly coming through that middle finger, especially as we go back here. One more, big circle. So you can feel where our fascia line ends. Our middle finger is hopefully the longest finger, but it doesn't really matter, I suppose. But our middle finger is our longest finger, isn't it? So that's where the longest line of fascia. So if we're pulling back, this is what you can feel connective tissue pulling. Good. Now keep the palms back. So imagine you've just done your last one and we've got those fingers pointing the wall behind us and just a little nerve glide while we're here. Lifting up. Now obviously if you feel again pins and needles, anything like that, that is a no-no. We never want to spark off a nerve pull and entrapment. We want to glide and mobilize them and what we call floss. It's called flossing, this sort of movement. But this should feel just like a gentle pull coming down your arm. Two more. So this will help if you get a lot of, and I know some of you do suffer a bit with shoulders and nerve entrapment. Good. Give the arms just a little shake out now. And I want you to step your right foot forward and your left foot back. And we've done this one quite a few times before, but not very much recently. I want you to lift your back heel. I'll do it sideways on so you can see. I'm going to push my hips forward. So I'm starting to get a stretch from my shoulder down to that left foot. And then as I go back, I want you to think sit bones up. So it's a flatter back. But now we're starting to get the hamstrings stretching. So we stretch hip flexors and then hamstrings. So a little rock forward. Good. So again, we're kind of working on the front plane, more on one side at the moment. And then our back plane a little bit in certain muscles. Now try and round as you come back now. So to reach your arms forward and flex the spine like a cat stretch. And then pull the arms back as we come forward, looking a bit more to the ceiling. So round your spine, feel that all the way through the back into the hamstrings. Good. So get a really nice flow of movement going now, forward and back. Good. Well done. One more, and then we'll switch to the other side. The rounding, I think, is the tricky bit because you want to kind of lift the sit bones up, don't you, to get there, which is why we did it with a flat back first. So let's switch now. So we've got the right leg back. And again, just a rock forward, lift the back heel, lift the ball of the front foot. So let's just concentrate on the hip flexors and the hamstrings to begin with. So kind of looking at just this kind of area of the body really. But of course we can make that flow And we want to, don't we? Because our fascial system, our interconnective tissue, is everywhere and it's all interconnective. It's just like, think of it like your cellophane coating over the top. Now we're going to go forward, and I want you to pull your arms back and look to the ceiling. Now round your back. So it's going to be a little bit less kind of hamstrings, but now more into the spine. More of a kind of whole body. Lifting. Good. So it's kind of just getting things moving. So remember our fascial systems. We haven't done much kind of focused on fascia for a while. Last one, our fascial system, as I say, is kind of everywhere, but it responds differently to stretching. Well, if we wanted to hold a hamstring stretch now, we'd hold it there, wouldn't we? So if we wanted to work on the actual muscle, we'd hold the stretch. Fascia works very differently. Now we're going to do the one we've done before that we often do at the end, but we're going to keep it really moving. So we're going to step on the left foot, bring the right leg behind and take a lovely big stretch. So this one's better for the fascial system because again, it responds to that kind of rebounding, continual movement. Good. So it's a little bit like getting well, when we're tight. So first thing this morning when you got up, felt a little bit stiffer, didn't we? We always feel a little bit stiffer because we haven't been moving really much in the night. You might toss and turn a little bit. We're not moving the same as we do in the day. One more each way, big stretch up and over. So we're now getting that sideline. Good, well done. Now keep the right leg forward again and the left leg back. This time we're gonna do, we've done this one before again, the same things we've just done, but I want you to go up with a diagonal to the right arm and the left arm down, back to the center, then take left arm up and down. So same thing as we did before, but now adding those arms differently. So we're going across a diagonal line. 4 more, back, and 3. So we should have done a little assessment of how we felt at the beginning really, shouldn't we? See if we've really improved things. Let's switch sides now. So left leg forward, left arm high diagonal pushing forward, and back, then right arm up. So again, we're pulling those lines. So, sorry, I was just saying about the cellophane. I think it's a really good imagery for fascia. In the morning, it's like we've kind of just scrunched it all up. You know when you grab it and scrunch it? One more each way, open. It's like we've grabbed it, scrunched it, and then now what we're doing is kind of smoothing it all back again. So of course, when it's scrunched, it's restrictive. It's like tight muscles. It's constricting things, the movement. So once we've spread it out, and it stretches, doesn't it, a little bit? So this is what our fascia is like, and it's just as important as everything else. Good. Now let's go into, actually we'll go into a little bit more kind of stretch in the shoulders. So I want you to take a kind of like you're taking your t-shirt off, because we're going to do this when you get to the floor. So I want you to prep this. So imagine all your sweatshirt. Imagine you've grabbed your sweatshirt like we would like this, and then pull it up, and then circle around and get a little bit of extension. And as you come forward to grab your imaginary sweatshirt, I want you to flex forward and extend and open. So we flex it forward and up and round. So when we come to spine curls on the floor, we're going to be doing this as we spine curl. So this is our prep for when we get to that, but also a really nice movement. Last one. Now keep those arms out, and let's take the feet just a little bit wider, and let's just isolate that rib cage. We know this is a really nice one. Now this is more of the muscles, but I think it's a really lovely one to do if we're looking at loosening up the body. And let's face it, I think most people, not everybody, but majority of people do Pilates or start doing Pilates because we've got an issue, haven't we? We've got a problem, we've got pain, and for majority of people it's lower back. Good. Now go to the right again with the ribs. Then let's go up and over into that side stretch again. Bring the arms back and then pull the ribs back to center. So we're going to keep those ribs pulled over, big stretch. Now obviously there is an element of core work here as well, because everything we do, especially when we're working with long levers, which was what my intention was this week, was to work. So we'll do that next week, depending again on the weather. I think it's probably going to cool down, isn't it? Surely at some point. It's not going to stay like this forever. But I thought it's so hot that we want to do something a little bit more gentle this week, up and over. But I was going to do kind of levers and things to work our core. So, you know, what we're doing to move, obviously we're adding long levers, so we're going to be working as well, aren't we? Now let's move the hips around around, big circles, round. Now try and not just sort of do this, but try and tuck and tilt a little bit at the same time, round. Good, then let's go the other way. So we're not only just pushing to the left, we're tucking, running the water out the back of our pelvis. Now we're running it out the front as we go back, round. Just getting a whole kind of movement round this lower back, hips and pelvis. One more. Excellent, good. Now let's take a little bit wider position with the feet, toes forward, and a nice little bend to the right. And again, to the right. Now I want you to reach your left arm up to the diagonal, take the palm up and the thumb back a little bit, so we're stretching. And we're actually going to try and look a little bit back to the top corner of the ceiling. Then we're going to reach it across to that right foot and reach up and back a little bit. So stretching, getting inner thighs stretching, but we're also again getting across that diagonal line as we go up. Good, let's do 4 more, bending as deep as you like on that right leg. This right arm can just do nothing at the moment. And then we'll switch sides, 2 more. And reach and stretch, last one. So again, it's getting a lot of things moving, isn't it? We're working in a different plane of movement again. Now let's reach this right arm up now. Palm up, thumb pulling back, open and look up to the ceiling behind you, to the corner where the wall meets the ceiling. And we're going to reach across and reach it up and pull back. So there's a little bit of extension, a little bit of rotation. Good, down and lift. Bending a little bit deeper on that left leg if we can. 4 more. And reach. 3. So we've done side flexion, we've done rotation, we've done forward flexion, we've done extension, we've done some hip movement. We're going to do a little bit more as well. So we've kind of already started working through all those planes of movement. Let's turn the toes out now. Now this time I want you to bend your right knee. I want you to feel a little bit more ankle movement and stretch now. Just a nice little sway from side to side. So we're turned out now. It doesn't have to be as far as 10 to 2. Knees following the line of the toes. Good. Now let's start to pull our left arm across, right arm across. So again, we're getting those lovely kind of flowing movements, rebounding movements. Reach and 3. 2. Reaching as far across as you can. Well done. And relax. Now let's bend both knees now. And I want you to lift your right heel, then your left heel. Right heel, left heel. 4 more. 3. Just to loosen up that area. Heels down, straighten up. Good. And just walk your feet back in. Just give everything a little shake out. Good. Now we're going to do a little swing of the leg now. So as your right leg swings forward, bring your left arm forward. Your right arm goes back. And we're going to just swing now and start to move those arms bigger. Really swinging, swaying. We're balancing. 4 more. Really squeezing the bottom to get that leg behind you and hip nice and open. Don't worry too much about stability, just naturally stabilizing today. I don't want you to worry too much about alignment because we just want lots of movement today. So don't worry if, oh gosh, my body's not in alignment here. Left leg now. So you can start low and let's start to get those arms moving bigger. Forward and back, squeezing. 4 more. Can we go higher with the arms? Further back with 1, higher with the other. 2. Last 1. Good. So it feels quite nice in the hip as well, doesn't it? Now let's just do a nice big circle of the right hip. Nice big circle of the left hip. Up and round. Now we're going to circle the opposite arm. So as your right leg comes up, I want you to circle the left arm. Circle the right arm. So this is a little bit of a brain test as well, coordination test. Round. 4 more. Lovely big circles again, just opening everything as much as we can. 2 more. Last 1. Excellent. Now let's bend the knees and we're going to take our hands on the thighs and we're going to finish with, this is our kind of last one as far as kind of just the warm-up is concerned. In fact, the whole thing's like a warm-up really today. We're going to drop the tailbone, sequential movement up through the spine, allowing the head to relax. And then push the tailbone back and lift the head. So just a standing articulated cat to cow, pulling through those abdominals, sit bones up and rippling it through the spine, looking up. 2 more, rounding and lifting. Last one. Good, coming into your extension, lifting back up to stand. Now come to the back edge of your mat, because we're going to go into our roll downs now. Now, what I want you to do at the bottom of your roll down is add some rotation. So we'll do a couple of roll downs first, just to, again, get all the hamstrings and all this back line of the body. And we'll do our circles with it as well, because again, we want to keep moving everything as big as we can today. So a nice deep breath in. As we lift the arms, we circle, we extend. Then let the chin drop to the chest. Feel the abdominals just drawing back a little bit as we try and stretch our upper spine. Pull your back against your imaginary wall. Don't let go at the hips too quickly, but then roll down. Now give your head a little nod at the bottom and shake. Don't force the hamstrings, just go where you feel comfortable. Draw the tailbone down, soften the knees a little bit if you need to, especially those of you that are suffering a little bit with your back at the moment. And again, sorry, my mic's falling off. And up and round. Chin tucked to nod the head. Feel a nice kind of lift and scoop, so we round that back. Feeling everything stretching. So we're working our back line, aren't we? Our posterior line of fascia as we roll down. So it's a really lovely stretch from the head and neck all the way through to the heels. Then rolling it back up. We're working the back line now. And then as we lift the arms and circle around, we're now opening that anterior line of fascia. And we're doing our vertical lines, aren't we, through the front and back of the body. Good, really let the head go. This is our opportunity to fully relax the neck and let the discs release. Good, and rolling back up. Now this time at the bottom, we're going to add some rotation. So we take our deep breath in and we stretch back, roll down. Now when you get to the bottom, again, let the head go, let the arms go. Take the back of your right hand to the outside edge of your left ankle. I want you to press that hand or higher up the leg if you need to, obviously, if you're not that far down. Then we're going to open the right arm up to the ceiling, trying to lift as high. So use the arm to kind of help press you up and lift. Good. Now let's take the right hand across to the outside left ankle and lift your left arm up. Try and lift the shoulder and the head and down. Then drop down. See if we can go a little bit deeper into the stretch and then draw the tailbone down for that rounding of the spine as we come back up. Bone on top of bone. And again, start again round with those arms, opening up that front line. Feel that lift up and over. Remember, we're not just collapsing. We're using abdominals to kind of lift us up and over. So we feel the stretch much more. At the bottom, let go. Give your head a little nod or shake. Take your left hand across to your right ankle and open that right shoulder up to the ceiling. So push against the leg. Think shoulder initially, arm following. And down. Now right hand across to left ankle and up we go. Feeling if one side is a little bit harder than the other. Likely it is. Good. Now let's do that one last time. So coming back up. Bone by bone, good. Let's do that one last lovely big stretch. Chin tucked to nod the head, roll it down. Feel that heaviness at the bottom. When you're ready, take your left hand across to your right ankle and use that arm to press and help push up to get more movement. Bring that right arm down, right arm across, and we open. Good. Well done. Good. Now stay with your hang for a moment. Just take a gentle sway from right to left, from side to side. Let the head fully relax. Then I want you to take your feet just a little bit wider and a little bit more turned out. And see if we can go into full squat position. Now at this point you may want your cushion maybe under your heels or rolled up towel or a block or something. Because your heels may not go down, but we're going to try and keep getting into this position. Now, if you can get into that full squat, or even if you've got something under heels, wherever you are, try and take a little rock forward and back. And if you have a look at your ankles, we are dorsiflexing a little bit more. And then take a little rock from side to side. So again, we're just moving around those ankle joints. Good. Then from there, take your hands to the floor and come into a 4-point kneeling position. So wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. We're in a quadruped. We're going to spread the fingers, push the palms into the floor. Now we're going to tuck the toes under. As you tuck your toes under, I want you to go into an extended position, lifting the breastbone to the ceiling, looking as high as you can. Then we're going to point and flatten the feet now if you can, and go into your cat stretch. And again, so really work through that full range. Toes under as we lift up. So we're going into a kneeling cat to cow now. And then flatten and straighten out those legs as we tuck under into cat stretch. 2 more. Lifting up. Really feel that extension. And then I think I kind of prefer it here to the standing option. Last one, lifting up. Now get a really lovely big stretch. Try and pull the shoulder blades away from each other a little bit more. Good, well done. Now take a sit back and stretch. Knees together, knees apart, whatever you like. Stretch those arms as far forward. Imagine you're trying to reach for the end of your mat. Good, take a nice deep breath in there. Now, the next exercise is this is probably as hard as it gets actually today, but I have got easier options for you. So we can stay in that 4-point kneeling, and you can just do a little rock back as far as you can go and forward. You could keep the toes tucked under if you like. So we could just do a rock forward and back. So that is option number 1. If you feel like just doing something a little bit more challenging this morning, then, and let's face it, it's a bit cooler now. It's tonight that it's going to be a real problem, I think. Spreading the fingers out. We're in full plank if you can. Good. Now what we're going to do is bend in, not going to let the knees come to the floor, but I want you to bend almost like you're about to sit down onto the floor with the knees, but we're not going to let them come down. And then we're going to try and push forward a little bit more. So we're rocking forward and back. Now this could just be a rock without the bend. So you could just do the rock, which is kind of called, it's called the saw. I think it's not in Pilates. Obviously we've got a different saw, which actually we're doing later. And reach. Let's do 2 more if we can. Big stretch, pressing those shoulders towards the floor, reaching forward. 1 more. Good. Now this time, let's go all the way back. This time take feet together, knees apart, and again, a lovely big stretch. Pressing your chest towards the floor now because we've got a wider leg position. Some of you might want your cushion that I asked you to grab at the beginning. Place this between your heels and bottom if you find it really tough on the knees. And press that chest gently to the floor, stretching out our thoracic spine, our shoulders. And then just take a little rotational wiggle from side to side, like you're trying to push your right shoulder further down than your left shoulder. Just a little rotational pull, feeling if it does feel like there's a little bit twist on the spine. Good. So I find it much harder to press my right shoulder down than left. Good. Deep breath in there. Exhale, draw the tailbone down, slide the arms back towards you. Give your wrists a quick shake out because we're going to go into thread the needle now. So let's come back to our 4-point kneeling. We're going to take our right arm out to the side of us. So already we're just feeling that little bit of oblique work, but we're going to keep it moving. Arm comes through. Bending as far as we can with that shoulder to the floor, reach the arm through, and then we open that shoulder and arm up to the ceiling. So again, lots of rotational movements today, reaching through, and which I think is really nice. Again, this one for the fascial system. Not only is it great, I mean, everything, there's no one thing that works in anything, is there? You know, we're one big integrated system. We can't work one part of the body without using another, can we, really? So this is, because we're continually moving again and stretching, we're working with a kind of big stretch, it's a really good fascial one as well as good strengthening, good mobility. Let's switch to the other side now. So left arm level, and we come through, bending that right elbow as much as we can, keeping those hips over the knees if possible. But as I say, there are no Pilates police here today. It's just about good movement, flowing movement, just opening and stretching everything in kind of a rebounding motion as we can to really start to loosen everything. So it kind of does follow on from the mobility that we did last week and up. As I said, everything kind of interconnects, doesn't it? Let's have a sit back and stretch, give your wrists a quick circle. We're going to come into Cobra now. So let's come down and we'll just focus on that little bit of thoracic movement first. So arms in Cobra position, thumbs roughly in line with the nose, but you might need to adjust that a little bit. So let me just take myself a little bit more sideways on. So let's fully exhale, because remember we always want to come up on an in-breath when it comes to extension. I would take the legs about hip distance apart, let the pelvis feel nice and heavy, relax through glutes, legs and arms. Now we're going to breathe in as we lift the head. Now just the head and neck really to start with. Lift as high as you can, looking up to the ceiling, and then lower it down. I want you to think nothing else. Keep the shoulders relaxed, arms relaxed, and just look up to the ceiling and lower down. So feel the back of the neck working. And lift. Good. So let's start to join in with the collarbone now. The collarbone's already a little bit off the floor, but we're going to lift it a bit higher. And down. Then let's take head, collarbone, and then start to lift your breastbone, but let's leave those lower ribs to the floor and just focus on that movement of the upper spine. So of course, fascially wise, not a massive amount of work going on yet, because we're only really opening just that top kind of front line of the body, but still really nice. Obviously we know we need to keep really good mobility in thoracic spine. So let's take it a bit higher this time. We're breathing in, going as high as you can, and then pause and exhale when you've got as high as you can. Then breathe in and let's go higher, looking more to the ceiling, because our whole body's lifting higher. So we're going to be looking higher up towards the ceiling now, aren't we? Now we're feeling that nice stretch through the front of the hip. Then let the elbows drop down, lower ribs, chest and head. So keep that lovely sequential movement going. So we worked loads on this when we did the mobility stuff last week, on how keeping sequential movement or articulated movements really help to keep things loose. And again, it all just ties in, doesn't it, with the fascial release. Good. Now, if we really want to use that front line now to get a little bit more stretch into the quads, all we need to do really is bend the knees. So this time as we come down, we're going to start bending the knees to hamstring curl, bringing both heels towards the bottom. Press the hips down into the floor, heels as tight as you can. Then as the head lifts, the feet start to push away, and we're lifting. Good. So legs are now straight. So although we're not, I'm going to do the harder version in a minute, but for some of you with lower back pain, you might find that you want to just stick to this, because I think the next option can go a little bit into lower back. And lift. Good. So the next option is to do the feet and the thoracic spine at the same time. So only if you feel comfortable with this, we're going to lift up, like you're trying to bring your feet towards your head. Now it really is tough on the hamstrings, I'll warn you, but we're going to get much more stretch through the whole front line, because we're stretching the quads and the hips and the front of the body at the same time. But it is a toughie. And I think if you're a little less flexible, it will feel horrible in your lower back. So just carry on with this one. This is the much easier option. It feels a lot nicer doing alternate. Let's do 2 more, which with whatever option you like. It feels really restrictive and really tight. So probably most of you will not want to do this one. Even I don't like this one. I used to be able to get my feet a lot when I was younger. I used to do a lot of gymnastics. I used to be able to nearly get my feet to my head, but nowhere near anymore. Excellent. Now, whilst we're here, let's take our left hand underneath our head. Use your right hand to grab your right leg. So we're just going to go into a very gentle thigh stretch. Now this could be, maybe you've got longer sort of leggings or trousers, you might want to grab there. You might want to use your band. If you're finding this a struggle maybe for knees, fold your band in half, take it around your leg and use the band instead to hold on. and then you don't have to pull so much through the knee. Think pelvis down. So we're getting a nice stretch here. Now our left hand is underneath our head. So this again is just an option. Keep the stretch on the quad, on the thighs. Try not to let your knee travel too far away. Keep it in line with the hip socket. If you want to go a little bit further on this stretch, we're going to take a deep breath in. Good. And then pull that heel a little bit closer as you exhale. Then as you inhale, I want you to just lift into, again, a little sort of, kind of a bit more sphinx, this one. So you might want to hold a little bit higher up the foot maybe, so adjust it to suit you. This might be a stage too far, it might be cramping your back muscles, so just stay gently lower or down. One more deep breath there, lifting a little bit higher as you breathe in. And as we exhale, let's let go. So let's grab hold of the left foot now. Right hand is underneath your forehead. So we've got like a diamond press, half a diamond press position. So again, grab where you're comfortable. It could be the back of the heel. It could be a band around the foot. It could be grabbing the back of the sock or a trouser leg. Think of the pelvis pressing gently. Can you feel the difference of how when we tighten up here, the quads, we tighten up the hip flexors, and then we want to go into extension. Our hips want to lift. So think pubic bone down into the mat as we stretch. Now, if this is a really intense stretch and you really don't want to take it any further, don't worry, don't take it any further. If you want to, take a deep breath in. As you exhale, gently squeeze that heel to the bottom, just a teeny bit more if you can. Then inhaling, we're going to use our arm to lift us up a little bit more into extension. So at this point, sometimes it gets a bit hard to hold, so you might want to just go up the leg a little bit. Hold it, one more deep breath, just lifting and extending a little bit higher if you can. And then exhale and relax. Well done. Now come and sit back into your rest position again. Let's just take knees together. There's a lot going into lower back there. So let's round the spine. So that nice stretch into lower back. Again, if your feet cramp, maybe toes tucked under or cushion underneath the ankles can be good there. Again, if we've got problems with ankle joints, sitting back or knees, the cushion can come in really handy. Deep breath in there. Exhale, let's draw the spine back up. We're going to come and lie down now. So we're going to take the ball or your cushion. Now I'm going to give you the choice today. The cushion is a lot softer, a lot lower. You don't have the balance. So if you've got pelvic issues, and this is really good for ladies with pelvic issues, particularly sort of pelvic floor and issues like that, inflammation. Cushion is lovely, and if your balance isn't great or your lower back doesn't like it, grab your cushion. It's a lot softer. But if you want that little bit of extra core stability and a little bit more lift, the ball is probably going to be much better for you. So entirely up to you, ball or cushion under the sacrum. So of course, wherever it might be, we've got that very slight sort of tilt coming down now from the pelvis is still in neutral as far as the spine is concerned, the connection to the spine. But of course, we're slightly more slanted. It can give us some really nice back support. Now we're going to just take the feet together, feet and legs together, and we're just going to do a little knee drop. Let the right knee drop out and bring it back in. But we have starting with the legs together. Then the left leg goes out and in. Now remember, this is about pelvic stability, but again, I don't want you to worry too much about that. I just want you to feel that lovely opening of the hip. And again, that nice kind of work around the whole pelvic area. We have done some of the stuff with the cushion before and we've just really focused on the whole pelvic area. Good. Out and in. Now let's go into the wonky leg slide. So we're going to take the right knee dropping out, slide it away. The leg will still be next to the other leg. We rotate the knee up to the ceiling so the leg is in parallel and we slide it back in. Left leg out, slide it away, roll it back in, slide it in. So don't let the foot leave the floor. We're leaving it heavy because we want to not worry so much about the core work and activating the hips, but allowing them to release a little bit. Slide it. Good. One more on each side. Slide it away. One more time on the left. Good. Now just take the feet a little bit wider, so we're now hip socket distance apart. Arms relaxed by your side. We're going to go into starfish. So again, cushion or ball, it doesn't matter. If you're feeling that the ball is not so comfortable today, switch to a nice plump cushion. We're going to slide our right leg away and our left arm reaches overhead. Good. And slide it back in. If you can, softly point the foot away. I don't want you to kind of work so hard that you cramp, but just so that you feel much more of a stretch. We're working across, of course, across our front line again, our fascial lines, slightly diagonally, obviously, because we're doing right leg, left arm, and vice versa. Don't force the arm back. Obviously, we don't want to aggravate our shoulder joint, but just feeling that lovely sense of opposition as we stretch and come back in. Good. Stretch. Also be careful, obviously, because our hips are higher, we are pressing down the thigh bone a bit more, which is going to extend our hip more. If our hip doesn't have that extension, again, it's not going to feel comfortable. It's potentially going to go into lower back. So don't worry if you can't fully stretch the leg, as long as we can feel that lovely long front line, anterior fascial opening. Good. Finish left leg, right arm, and that lovely diagonal line of a kind of fascial stretch as well. Excellent. Good. Well done. Now we're going to bring the legs up. So one leg comes up, other leg comes up to join it. Of course, if you want to balance more and work core more, hands off the floor. But again, we're not really worrying so much about that today. So if you need your arms there, absolutely fine for today only. Bring your right knee a little bit closer to your chest and take the left foot down to the floor. We're going to scissor toe tap and swap and swap. So bringing the knee as close to the chest as you can, taking the other foot down to the floor. So just a nice little hip movement. So this is working a little bit more on the fascia of the hip. Now, of course, if we can, we want to try and take these movements bigger. So bring the legs up, bring the right knee back to the chest again, and try and straighten your left leg as far away from as you can to the floor if possible, but don't force it there if it goes into lower back. And then swap. So we're technically doing single leg stretch legs now. One leg in, one leg out, and out. So now we're getting more flexion and extension at the hip joint, more opening in that hip as it lowers down to the floor. Good. Let's do 4 more. 3. And again, of course, we're going to be working our core. Even if your arms are down, you're going to be feeling this. Good. Take a little hug of the knees into the chest for a moment. Then we're going to straighten those legs up to the ceiling. Stretching up. Now, this will be really nice if you're tight in hamstrings to be up on the ball or the cushion, because it's giving us a little bit of release. The ball is going to be higher though. Now we're going to do little circles in opposite directions. So each leg is independently doing a circle. We're going to pull those legs slightly towards us. Take them away from each other, push them away from you, and then they meet in the middle and come back to center. So your right leg is going clockwise, left leg anti-clockwise, together at the same time. And round. And round. 2 more. Good. And then let's go in the opposite direction. Take them away. Big as we can without losing stability of the pelvis. Again, it's hip movement. Round. Last one. Excellent. Good. Now bend both knees. I want you to try and hug your left knee in towards your chest, either by the shin or the back of the thigh. Take your right foot back to the floor. So this leg is going to hug in as tight as we can. Slide your right leg away. We're going to point. Now this is a lot of balance, so it might be just one hand on the shin and one hand on the floor if you're on a ball and feel wobbly. Point the foot and lift it. Flex it, reach away and press that heel right towards the floor if you can, or as low as you can. Lifting, flex and lower. Point, lift, flex and lower. Again, we're trying to keep some stability of the pelvis if possible. 4 more. Lift, flex and lower. 3, 2, last one. Now this time I want you to lower it down. Keep the foot flexed, reach through the heel. Hug that left knee a little bit tighter if you can, and really stretch out this bottom leg, pressing the back of the thigh bone to the floor. So let's feel a really good hip flexor stretch here. Hold it. 1 more deep breath. Well done. Then slide that leg in, take the left foot down, right leg down, sorry. Hug the left leg in now. Slide your right leg away. So again, if your knee is not very comfortable, I would hold onto the back of the thigh, shin if you can, pulling in, point and lift. So if you're wobbling now, one hand on the floor, other hand on the leg, flex and reach that heel, try and press it to the floor if you can. Point, lift, flex, lower, point, lift, flex, lower. Good. Really work that ankle joint because this is going to affect the fascia as well and the nervous system. And remember, when we're working fascia, we're kind of working the nervous system because our nerves feed all through the fascial kind of connections that we've got. Hold it down now. Hug that right knee in a little bit, left knee, sorry, a bit more. Stretch that right thigh bone down to the floor. Get a really nice stretch there. Make sure it hasn't affected our pelvis in any way. Good. One more deep breath there. It's a really nice openness into the hip. Well done. Foot back down, slide the other leg back in. Now lift the hip and take the ball or the cushion away. Good. Now I've forgotten what I want to do. Oh, spine curls. We're going to go into spine curls now. So let's just go. You don't need your cushion or your ball at all for this one at the moment. Just put that to one side. Feet just parallel hip distance. So remember taking the t-shirt off at the beginning. We did that lovely big circle of the arms. We're going to do that with our spine curls. So place your feet where you feel comfortable. We're going to cross the arms across the chest as we release the tailbone. As we start to peel the spine away, arms go up. So if you're taking that sweatshirt off, and then if you can, keep the arms to the floor as we circle them back down and we return the spine back down. Good. So we're going to exhale as we imprint, releasing the tailbone. We take those arms across. The arms circle overhead. Now at the top, pause there. Breathe in, exhale, circle those arms around as we articulate back down. Good. Well done. And again, so we're moving the arms at the same time as the spine. Try and use your hips and glutes to get as high with the hips as you can. And a lovely big circle. Now don't worry if those arms don't just glide along the floor. Ideally that's where we want to be because we want to get as much movement as we can, but it may not feel comfortable in your shoulders. So again, go where you feel comfortable, just a little hover is fine. Good. Well done. One more like that. Up and round. Good. Now keep your arms just either relaxed by your side if you feel you're using them too much, arms across the chest, shoulder drop, whatever you like. We're going to do a little spine curl again, but we're going to add a heel raise this time. So imprint the spine, release the tailbone, feel that lift bone by bone as we use those glutes. Now I want you to lift your right heel off the floor. As the right heel comes down, the left heel lifts. Now try not to go into the little toe, keep some of the weight into the big toe. And you just do a little pump through the feet, right heel up, left heel down. This is option number one, your easy option. Then press both heels down and articulate back down. Option number two, we're going to do a cycling of the right leg. So if you're going to carry on with the heel lift, we do kind of 8 of those in total. As we come up this time, again, we're going to lift the right leg. So push the left foot down, left glute working as the right leg straightens up to the ceiling. Now, if you're doing the cycling, we're going to do 4. We flex the foot, we lower it as far as we can without the hip dropping. Bend it, reach it. Flex and cycle. In 2 more. Keep pumping if you're doing the heel raises. 1 more. Round. Good. Bend it. Place the foot back to the floor and articulate back down. So either 1 more set of pumps with the heel raise or left leg. Last time, imprint, release, up we come. Good, I kind of lied a bit, this is quite hard, isn't it? Push the right foot down, left leg up, flex the foot and we lower. You might not want to go any lower than hip level because it will drop the hip potentially down, so make sure we've got good support, but we do want to get a little bit of extension. 2 more, flex to go down, point to come in, 1 more, down, and up. Place the foot back down. Make sure those hips are level and we articulate bone by bone. Little hug of the knees. Now I think this is a really good point in which to stretch out our hamstrings. A lot of hamstring work there. Grab your band. Place your right foot into the band. Good. And then stretch the other leg away. So we're going to use the band to support the leg. Getting a nice little stretch. Now we will do a little bit of movement as we hold our stretch today. So we've got our right leg up, and just make sure first of all, I would get it quite nice and flat around the foot because we want it quite cradled. We don't want the band slipping up and down the foot as we move. Because first of all, we'll do a little bit of nerve mobility. So whilst we're holding that hamstring stretch, just pointing and flexing. Now, of course, if you like, you can chin tuck to nod the head and curl up. Look down to your belly button as far as you can. So now we're going to get more of a nerve stretch as we point and flex. Good. 2 more. Last one. Now, if you are curled up, lower down now. Try and keep those elbows anchored and just do a little rock gently from side to side, just rocking. Now, obviously, a lighter band is often quite good for this one, or if you've got quite a strong band, just try not to force that thigh bone down into the hip joint. Just let it rock naturally, side to side. Little windscreen wiper movement. Good. Then hold that hamstring stretch. 1 more deep breath, so hold it nice and still. Well done. Then we'll swap legs, so other foot into the band. Sorry if you heard a crack then, that was my elbow. Left leg down, support the leg, back of the knee nice and open. We've got a natural curve in our spine, so the other leg straight if you can. It doesn't have to be, but it just helps, doesn't it, to keep that pelvis nice and level. So let's find the stretch. Is it as far as the other one? Remember, this is quite important. It's not, if there's not much of a difference, it's not really, you know, our bodies are so clever. We know this, we know our bodies compensate because we know we're not perfectly balanced, are we, with muscle strength? But majority of the time, you know, we learn to kind of work with that and our body adapts to it. Sometimes if it's allowed to go on for a really long time, and this can be years, it can start to affect us kind of with sort of aches and pains and things eventually. So this is why we do our Pilates, isn't it? Keep ourselves moving. So let's start to point and flex now. If you like, curl up and let's get that little bit of extra nerve mobility. Pointing and flexing. So really push the ball of the foot into the bone. We want good ankle movement. 2 more. Last one, and then lower back down. Good. And then let's just rock though, keeping hold of that hamstring stretch. Be very careful as you go across the center line because this can be where it starts to kind of kick into sciatic nerve again, and we don't want to create any pinching of that nerve. That's a definite no-no. Good. Well done. Hold it there for 1 more deep breath. Feeling the stretch gently, no forcing, especially if you've got any issues. And I've had a couple of people that have said that they've got kind of problems right at the top of the hamstrings, which I've had before. Sometimes it's been my own fault for trying to lift something a bit too heavy. Good. And relax. Take the foot out of the band. Now come and lie on your side. Now bring your ball with you in front of you. And we're basically going to do side. We can bend the underneath leg a little bit, or you can have it just forward slightly. Lie all the way down. Your ball is in front of you. Our top leg is straight, but bottom leg, as I say, can be bent. We've got a nice lifted waist and rib cage. Now, first of all, we're going to squeeze the bottom and take the leg behind us. As you do, I want you to push the ball forward so we get that lovely rotational twist. Ball comes back and we swing the leg forward. Good. Point the foot and bring it back and squeeze the bottom. Push the ball forward. Bring it forward. Bring the shoulder back over the shoulder as we come forward. Good. Back. Arm comes forward. Arm comes back and returns shoulder over shoulder as the leg comes forward. Forward with the arm, back with the leg. Good. So really squeeze the bottom. Push forward so we get that lovely rotational twist and opening into the hip. Good. Reach it, stretch it. Now the leg is working on a level plane. So it's a bit like our glass table exercise, which we did a few weeks ago, I think. Good. Last one. Now let's hold that stretch. Push the ball forward, push the shoulder forward. Let the leg drop towards the floor and lift it. And lower, but keep it behind you. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. 4 more. Is that waist still lifted or have we dropped it? Can we stretch that leg a bit longer away from us? Bit more back behind us. Excellent, good. And relax. Let's switch straight onto the other side. I was going to do something else as well, but we've kind of run out of time, so it's nearly 10 past. Good, well, we've done some really lovely movement today. Bottom leg bent, waist lifted, top leg straight. Good. Ball in front of us. Now, first of all, just softly point the foot, pull the leg back and push the ball forward so we really feel that lovely stretch. Just bring the shoulder back to where it started, but flex the foot and allow the leg to keep moving. Don't allow yourself to lose that neutral position in our spine. Push forward with the shoulder, back with the leg, and then skimming it forward, feeling that hamstring stretch. Good. Now, I really don't want you to worry if you do come a little bit out of neutral and we tuck, because we're just allowing things to move. And we're just going to get that kinetic chain of movement, aren't we? Which is going to go then into stretching lower back. Obviously, if it feels comfortable, we're not going to go there. Good. One more. Back with the leg, forward with the arm and shoulder. Leg forward. Good. Now push back for the last time, back with the leg, ball and shoulder coming forward. Lower the leg towards the floor as low as you can go and lift it as high as you can go. So we're drawing a straight vertical line up and down, allowing a little bit more stretch into the hip. Now keep squeezing that bottom. Can we get that leg further back? 4 more. And lift. Push the shoulder forward and the ball forward a little bit more. Good. And lift 1 more. And relax. Good. Well done. Now roll back over onto your back. And we're going to go into some nice little hip rolls now. Good. So, don't really need the ball for this one. Let's just start with a very basic hip roll. Arms nice and wide. Feet together, knees super glued, ankles super glued. Deep breath in. As we exhale, we're going to rock the hips and legs over to the right. Head rolls to the left. Now, I want you to stretch that left arm a little bit longer away, so like you're feeling that opposition between the arm and the knee. And then pull back to the center. Then we turn the head to look to the right as the left. So right legs go to the left, head turns to the right. And stretch that left arm a little bit longer. Good, and back to center. So very basic today. Now, of course, if you want to, please feel free to bring the legs up. We're still gonna get some stretching going on. It's not as deep because we've got more weight, we don't go as far, but obliques are working harder. So if you're thinking, actually, I really feel like I do want to work a bit harder today, legs up, doesn't matter. Do whatever you feel is right, it's your workout. I'm just giving you the ideas to work with. And you know, if you might be thinking, actually, I was really hoping for a good old core workout today. We have still worked though. Obviously, whatever we do, we are working core. We've done lots of things with legs up that's worked core. Excellent, good. 1 more each way. And then I've just got 2 more exercises I wanted to do, which we may not get them both in. So we're going to have a go at the roll over, which again is a really nice sort of posterior stretch. So try not to have anything under the head for this one. Let's bring the legs up into tabletop. Arms by your side, palms are down. You absolutely can use your arms to help you for this. You're going to need to. We'll start with a gentle, kind of just a bit like a spine curl without the legs on the floor. But of course, because the feet aren't down, we can't use the glutes. We're going to have to use the abs. So this is going to be a very tiny movement. Imagine a marble on your pubic bone. We're going to roll it to the belly button. Now we've got to use those abs to do that. And your tailbone is going to release. So we're just releasing that tailbone off the floor, pulling it towards your belly button. So rolling your marble backwards and forwards to your belly button and away. Good. Now try not to overuse your arms here. Try and relax your shoulders and your head. Just feel these lower abs working. Next stage is to straighten the legs towards the ceiling. Doesn't have to be fully straight, of course, bent if you need to. Pull again, same thing. We've got a longer lever now. This is where it can get a little bit juddery and shaky. Now, I would suggest maybe just sticking to this. You could use your ball or cushion. This is quite nice with the cushion, actually, underneath the lower back. I think the ball might be a bit higher. But if you struggle to get that initial lift, so if you struggle with rollbacks, you're probably going to find this one quite tricky. So the cushion's given you a head start. So now can we lift up and over? Try and keep those legs parallel, keep the spine lifted. And then we articulate back down. Now I would maybe suggest also not doing this one if you've got any neck or upper back problems. Now you can let your legs go away a little bit because we've got lower back, if you've got the lower back support, but only as far as you can keep a natural curve in your spine and protection of your lower back. Up and over. Now some of you might not need a cushion or a ball under the lower back. Now with the rollover, we're just keeping a really simple version of it because it does become a whole kind of pattern of movement where you end up sort of separating the legs into a little straddle. We try and keep a lift, but we try and keep the legs parallel to the floor. There's no dropping like this, like in the yoga plow. Keep them lifted, keep the spine lifted. Again, it can be very nerve pinchy because of this position. Because if you think about when we were just doing our hamstring stretch, pretty much the same, isn't it? Only we're moving our upper body rather than just, and because it's like, if you think of this position curled up with our hamstring stretch, it's exactly the same as this, isn't it? Good. 2 more if you can. Don't worry if you're not right there. Up and over. And then articulating back down, using loads of different muscles there, hip flexors, abdominals. Last one, up and over. And articulate back down, bone by bone. Good. That's why we did the hamstring stretch first. Give the legs a little hug in and a little roll of your lower back. Excellent. Good. Now, I don't know if we'll have time. Let's finish with our glute stretch. So right leg crosses ankle on left leg if you want to do the lying down stretch and just pull it here. Or of course, and this again will give us much more of a spiraling stretch when we're looking at fascia. So I think if we're looking at the fascial system today, I think this is probably the nicer of the 2 stretches, and we take the right leg over the left. We use our left arm to pull that knee and we sit nice and tall and we gently rotate. So getting a nice deep glute stretch, getting that lovely spinal stretch. Keep thinking crown of the head to the ceiling. If you're lying down, again, just your stretch that you find that suits you. Excellent, good. And relax, let's change sides. So I don't think you'll be too worried about the last exercise that I wanted to do. It was a roll back saw combo. So maybe we'll save that for Thursday. Good. And rotate if you can as well. Really lifting that spine. So if you're lying down now, just relax the legs and bring yourself up into a sitting position. And we're going to try and come up to stand. Now you might want your cushion under your heels here. You can cross the legs, we can go wider. You might need to just come onto the knees first, but let's try and bring ourselves up to stand without using our arms. Keeping that, we're going to keep doing this all year. I want my goal, I couldn't find the word there, is to get everybody coming to stand from their feet without using their hands by the end of this year. We're going to do it. We are going to do it. Let's take a nice deep breath in. Big circle around. Let's open the chest and shoulders as we come down. Now flex forward a little bit more now. Reaching down. Focusing on again that t-shirt taking off. Up and round. One more time. Flex it forward for that stretching, rounding of the upper back. And then that extension round. Good. Now just let the arms hang by your side and just, I know we didn't actually do a focus on how we felt, but hopefully, I think this really works. I think it just is, it's movement, isn't it? Very similar to last week, but much more of those long rebounding motions, continual movement. So well done.